Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center, New York, Stupidas. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Monday's study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Here with Mara and Bunky. Had a great weekend, Kastuba. Hope you had a great weekend. We had a crew over here. You know, it's one of these things that I'm happy about in my life right now is whenever I'm on the phone with somebody, I'm always on the phone with somebody like, this is a cool person. This is a great person. I've arranged my life so I have a lot of great people in my life. All the people I work with, all the people I play with, all the people I do stuff with, they're just great people. You got to do some weeding out the things that are going to strangle your devotional creeper. What do you think about that, Kastuba?
Oh, good for you, Raghunath.
Every time I call somebody up, it's like, Harry Ball, how are you? Harry Ball.
That's nice.
Yeah, we just had sweet, sweet company this weekend. It was really nice. And it was Maya's birthday, and Mara made this incredible vegan cake yesterday she put edible, non-poisonous purple flowers all over it. It was quite lovely.
Well, it's a season for lilacs and violets.
So I never knew you could eat lilacs.
Yeah, you know, I once made like lilac sugar where you take all the flowers and you infuse like sugar with them. So
They taste like flowers?
yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, okay.
Oh, and there's some lavender flowers in there too.
I've been foraging like crazy, Kastuba.
Foraging.
Foraging.
Okay.
He doesn't have to go more than probably like 10 feet from the doorstep.
I'm just getting nettles and violets and what else? Dandelions and plantains and mustard. Oh, can't say it. Garlic mustard. It's not really garlic, but they call it garlic mustard. What's the other one I'm getting?
Garlic mustard, nettles.
Nettles. Yeah, it's good. I just throw it in my soup.
Oh, your asparagus.
Oh my God, my asparagus, my annual asparagus or perennial asparagus are coming up right now. It's quite exciting.
Sounds great.
It is great. It is great. It's so good just to be here and not traveling. Anyway, that's the latest, my friend.
Okay.
Okay.
Why don't you turn it over to Mara now?
Mara.
We have back to your recovery group meetings at 1, 2, and 9 p.m. Eastern time online. And then we have back to your recovery group meetings in person in Mayapur, Alachua, and Nashville.
Yeah.
And I think there's still one space left for the Wisdom of the Sages retreat over Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, one spot left.
All right. Jump on that. You know, it was really nice. We had a kirtan, a closing kirtan. No, a Saturday night kirtan for all the people who came to the Seva retreat. And the kids showed up. So my son and his friend, they picked up the mridanga. You know, they're 17. And then my daughter's boyfriend came. He played cartels. And just to see these kids just sit down in the kirtan like pros. And, you know, this is what they're doing in their teenage life. They're just sitting and I could tell you, everybody that was there, all of our hearts were like touched by watching them just sit there and rock this kirtan. It was so like beautiful to witness.
Oh, that's
You know.
great.
It is. Gives you hope. gives you hope. All right, so let's dive into life here today. I've got a good nugget. It's from one of your friends and mine, Anonymous. You might know him. And this is what it is. We don't see things as they are. We see them as we are. We don't see things as they are. We see, right? We lose something in our subjectivity, right? We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. You know, this reminds me of when I was a brahmachari. If you don't know what a brahmachari is, it's like a celibate student. And for guys 22 years old, 23 years old, trying to be celibate. In culture today, it's considered, it's very difficult. And I remember I would have people come up to me and they say, "You're lying. You're completely," they just couldn't believe it. It didn't fit within their realm of even possibility for a young man in their 20s to even do that, because we have this idea of what the world is like. And in bhakti, what happens is we meet people that are just not acting like the rest of the world. And we start to think, oh, wow, you can do that. You can behave like that. You can act like that. You can talk like that. You can think like that. This is what you can do in your spare time. And when those things are either sattvic or suddha sattvic, when they're either in the mode of goodness, refined goodness, or out of this world goodness, it becomes incredibly attractive. And that's what sort of perhaps is why we're all here today. Someone's reached in to our hearts and touched our hearts. And then we just really want to sort of raise the bar in our life, in our spiritual life. And I really think it's important on a regular basis to sort of, when we wake up, a good ritual is to just sort of meditate on those people that have come into our life. It could not necessarily in person, could have been through a book or through a lecture or something. People that have reached into our life, touched our hearts and said, and give us a chance to, an option to upgrade our choices. And that's sort of what we do in the morning when we do prayers to our teachers. They've given us a new option, almost like a new lease on life. What do you think about that, Kastuba?
Well,
where were you going with the?
Well, actually, it's unknown the origin of this. I read one article where they were researching this, trying to find out, where it was first used, and it's like all over the place.
Just put Raghunath. Let's just take it as our own. Why not?
Others have claimed it. And is something happening to our picture? Is it the same for you? Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm sorry. So the idea, if we look at this from the yogic perspective, this idea, we don't see things as they are. We see them as we are. We get frustrated. I think it's a common experience that, why don't you see it the way that I see it? How could you see it that way? Why can't you see what I'm seeing? But for the yogis understand that every one of us is perceiving through the faculty of the mind, right? It's the senses are like the plug-in devices into the computer of the mind. And we don't look straight at the world. We look at the world through the mind and through the senses. And the mind is programmed, with all kinds of dispositions, all kind of predispositions,
likes and dislikes and fears and
it's
untrusting or trusting
attachments. It all gets filtered through that. And everybody's mind is programmed a little bit differently. And so everybody's seeing things a little bit differently.
Sure. And
so then the question becomes, are any of us seeing the truth? Or is there?
Or it seems like the most important thing we could do is scrub our mind.
Yeah.
Scrub the lens.
Yeah. Well, then the question. Yeah. The question is like, what are the conditions for perceiving truth. Like how this is kind of what the yogis are doing, right? They're saying like, okay, we all have these conditionings, and we suffer because of them, because the mind is programmed to respond favorably to certain external stimuli and unfavorably to other external stimuli. I wonder if I could experiment with my mind. I wonder if I could reset it. I wonder if I could set it in such a way where it can remain even no matter what the external stimuli is. And the yogis will call that samatvam, even-mindedness. And are there practices that I can do? Are there disciplines that I could perform that will help me help me cease to be, I guess you could say, a victim of, or like, under the control of this conditioning that's in my mind. What could I do? That's kind of what, like when Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, when he would speak about Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and these practices of Bhakti Yoga, he didn't like so much to call them religion. Often he would kind of he would call them science,
Right.
or yoga. That we're doing some experiments here with our perception, and seeing how they can be adjusted. Like if you take something like the 4 regulative principles that are, growing out of Bhagavatam, and Prabhupada kind of, he used these as, if you wanted to be his student, his serious disciple, then at your initiation, ceremony, at the ritual that you perform, the rite that you would pass through, you would take a vow to follow these principles, that had to do with your diet, that it had to do with compassion, let's say, that you have a compassionate diet, had to do with your regulation, sexually, had to do with intoxication and your regulation of that, or your what's the word I'm looking for? Abstaining from that, and gambling as well. And some would say, oh, well, you have these religious rules that you have to follow. And commonly, you and I, as we receive religious rules as we were growing up, there wasn't really an explanation. We weren't taught that these are like part of an experiment on your consciousness.
Yeah,
We were
it was
taught
just like
these
a
are
no,
sinful.
no.
Yeah.
No. Well, why? Just no.
Yeah.
Wasn't attractive.
Yeah, they're sinful. You go to hell if you do them, like that. Here the idea is no. These are conditions for truth perception.
But
These
it's
are
only-
these are part of that experiment, so we can see if we can get you beyond the conditioning of your mind, so that you can perceive truth and not just see things as your mind is programmed to see them.
Right. It's almost like you got a house. Wash the windows, damn it. Just wash your windows. It's springtime. Wash your windows. It's not like it's a good thing. It's what you do when you have a house. It's what you do when you have windows.
Right.
And so it's not even like this weird, unique experiment. It's just like, let's just not let everything fall to pieces. If you've got a property, if you've got an apartment, if you've got a home, if you've got a lawn, you got to maintain it, or it starts to like is that entropy, when it just sort of like takes over itself? Is that entropy?
Entropy is when things fall apart.
Starts to fall apart. And so there's got to be some maintenance. So even those standards Prabhupada gave, it's not like it's like these huge things you got to do. It's like what you do when you have a mind, what you do when you have a body. You got to clean the consciousness, or you're going to see things wrong. We don't want our bodies and minds and our thoughts to go on autopilot, because if we don't do the cleansing of the consciousness, guess what? Someone else is going to program the consciousness for us. It's happening all the time.
It'll get hacked. The computer.
It'll get hacked.
Either we carefully choose the files that we want to download, and we carefully, maintain the files on our computer, and we put it through the antivirus software, regularly. We have that choice, or we open ourselves up to being hacked at every moment.
Bunch of malware of the mind, huh?
Yeah. So we're reading Bhagavatam where this unbelievable event just took place, where Lord Vishnu manifests as this half man, half lion, and took out the demon that was harassing everyone, harassing their very lives. But so we're getting like this universal perspective of what just happened. people from this planet are relating to it in that way, and people from this intergalactic species are looking and saying, you know, looking at it from another perspective, and you get all these different perspectives. They're kind of mostly what we're hearing are worldly perspectives, like perspectives through my temporary identity.
Mm.
And but a few of them, and particularly next chapter where it's all Prahlad, you know, it'll be all Prahlad's prayers. Those are coming from another, an entirely different perspective, not like this relative perspective of, you know what, I'm on this planet and I have these responsibilities, and it was, you know, and I enjoy these certain things in life, and the demon Hiranyakashipu had denied me all these things, and now you set all that straight, so I'm grateful to you. That's like, it's coming, it's a perspective that's coming from, it's a worldly perspective. It's a specific worldly, temporary,
Right.
mundane in one sense, you know, perspective. And we operate on that level, and we have to learn how to operate well on that level. But there's also this, you know, level that's beyond all of those considerations. And Prahlad, he's on that level where he's beyond those considerations. He's not going to come forward and saying, I was getting harassed by my father, it made life really tough. Thank you. Now life is better, and I'll see you later. You know, it wasn't like that. Which is something you like what you get from a lot of these other prayers that we're hearing.
Very good. That was great. That's a great quote. I'm going to use it. I'm going to steal it and put my name on it.
We don't see things as they are.
Yeah.
We see them as we are.
Raghunath, 2024. Raghunath from Punk to Monk. I'm gonna even say it was part of my book, and it wasn't. I'm gonna just say Raghunath from Punk to Monk. We don't see things as we are. Oh, all right. I'm doing a kirtan this week at Jai Yoga in Albany. It's Dustin and Meg's place. The other Jai Yoga.
All right.
Yeah, looking forward to that. If you're local, come on down. It's the 18th.
I miss Dustin.
This weekend, right? Yeah. Dustin and Meg, they're great souls. Got a beautiful family. Yeah, I'm going to see them. You
got to get them to come around a bit more, you know?
Yeah, they're wrapped up in life right now. But yeah, I'm going to go up there. They're going to come down here. They came down last to the farm. Maybe they'll do a retreat or something here. All right, let's dive into this sweet nectar honeypot. What do you say?
I don't call it that, but yeah, let's
Nectarian honeypot, Prabhu. Nectarian. I've never said that word. If I wasn't a devotee, I would never say nectarian. Now I say it all the time. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, and to Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva vadreshu nicham bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama bhaktir bhavati naishtaki, by regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees. All that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmadatam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes to the torch light of knowledge. I offer obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 8, Text 47. And this is episode 1318.
14, maybe?
14.
Yeah, 1314.
Pretty good.
1314.
Hey, did you see the Northern Lights?
No.
You can't see it in New York City? Everybody's seeing the new. And if anybody saw that, put it up on the message board, because they're out. The Northern Lights are out. And I think it was a clear night yesterday, too. I'm just too lazy to stay up to 2 in the morning to do it. Anyway, they're out there. Okay, here we go. Text 47. The inhabitants. Oh, so what's happening is all these different beings from different planets are offering prayers. So we went through so many different beings on other planets. Some people call them aliens. But they're like in these cases, there were higher beings. Maybe all beings from other planets are higher beings. Maybe. But these are the inhabitants of Nagalokas. So these are.
And meanwhile, the Vishnu avatar, Narasimha, Nrsimha, is sitting on a throne. But he's kind of like, and he just killed Hiranyakashipu, but he's kind of like his entirely spiritual anger of love is still in him. It's like he's sitting down, but everybody can see he's still hot.
Yeah.
And everybody's kind of coming up a little bit shy, a little bit
maybe.
wary.
Yeah.
And offering different prayers.
Sure. If you've ever known someone who's lost their cool and they get it back under control, it's sort of like that. It's sort of like, okay, they're still coming out of it. So everyone's a little intimidated, but they're offering these prayers. The Naga, on Nagaloka, there's people that look like Nagas. I kid you not. Okay. I'm just gonna have to say that a Naga is a snake.
Do you think that when they were standing there, they were in a full-on snake form? Or do you think they're in like a human-like form?
I've seen them in two different forms, like with half snake, half human bodies.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have I don't know, truthfully. But it's interesting. The most sinful Hiranyakashipu took away all the jewels on our hoods. They say that in these planets.
That's if they have hoods, they're snakes.
Yeah, they have jewels on the hoods.
But that just answered our question, I guess.
I guess so. The most sinful Hiranyakashipu took away all the jewels on our hoods and all our beautiful wives. Now, since his chest has been pierced by your nails, you are the source of all pleasures to our wives. Thus, we together offer our respectful obeisances. So even these higher beings from other planets were tortured by Hiranyakashipu.
Yeah.
And so now that everyone's feeling great relief that he has appeared, or that Nrsimhadev has appeared, and just giving safety.
And well, again, everybody's looking at it from a different perspective, right? Mm-hmm. It's like some might have just witnessed what they saw, this battle, and this manifestation first of Vishnu in this wild, incredibly beautiful, insanely powerful, and an incredibly intensely angry form. It's like, sure. That's pretty wondrous. And then seeing deeper into it, that this is a manifestation of love. And I think we all feel a little there's like another kind of real phenomenon going on, TikTok, whatever phenomenon going on now, where
what's going on TikTok?
You've probably seen these. I don't, or on YouTube TikTok. Or whatever. I see them on YouTube, I guess. But you ever see those things where they set up this thing where they put like a child in like a park, sitting next to like a stranger, like a
rubber child or a real child?
No, a real child.
Okay, I've seen rubber child ones. That's fun.
Okay,
they're rubber children.
and then they have someone come up and begin to ask the child, like, "Oh, come with me," like I'll take you to your mother or whatever. Like,
and they do a sting operation.
It's not exactly a sting. It's more like because the person that's posing as like the potential child abuser,
okay,
is an actor, and the child's an actor too.
Oh yeah.
And so they're just trying to see what's going to be the reaction of the person sitting next to the child when a stranger comes up to the child that they don't know.
Oh yeah.
And begins to try to take the child away, and then the child says something like, it says something to indicate that they don't know the person.
You've been punked, right?
And then the person sitting next to the child, kind of something awakens in them. Like, oh, there's something very dangerous going on here. And then they turn to the actor and they say, or they turn to the child and say, "Do you know this person?" And the child says, "No." And then they generally stand up at that point. They stand up from the bench and they kind of get in the face. They get between the child and the person, and the person say, "No, I know their parents," or something like that.
Right.
And then you begin to see that the person starts to get more angry. You know, you start to see like they begin to manifest a certain bhava, right? Like a certain protective anger.
Mother bear
Like,
type of
hey,
thing.
you better step off right now. You know, I'm going to call the police. I'm going to, you know,
Right.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it's really kind of highlighting. It's kind of like these videos are kind of glorifying the person's reaction.
Right.
Like, okay, look at this. This is a good thing. A person standing up and protecting an innocent person. And let's observe it. Let's appreciate it. Well, we just saw the ultimate manifestation of that here, you know, where Nrsingadev just took. My point is this: is that the deeper bhakti yogis, you know, have a deeper understanding, more deep than these residents of Nagaloka. They're looking, from their perspective, what just happens when we saw the most magnificent and wondrous demonstration or display of a particular flavor of love that God has for his devotee. Wow. You know, like that's one perspective. The Nagas, they're not on that level. Their perspective is, you know what, this demon came, he took away our jewels.
Took away our jewels, our
He
wives.
took away our
upset.
wives.
Yeah, come on.
You know, our wealth, our sex. He took it all away. You know, and you've restored it. Thank you. You know, so Bhagavatam is always kind of juxtaposing these deeply devotional perspectives with Vedic perspective. They're appreciating God. You know, it's a Vedic perspective, but it's from a materialistic point of view.
A nuanced point of view, yeah.
Or I mean, I suppose you could say nuance, but I'd say it's like a cruder, you know, a cruder point of view. You know, all they can appreciate, and I don't want to say all, but what they're expressing here.
Well, it's not like they just want their wives for sex. They might have just liked the comfort of their partner.
Whatever, but I'm still, it was from their own kind of somewhat narrow perspective that they're saying, oh, great, you gave me back the things that I lost. Thank you.
Right.
You know, the things of this world that I lost. Thank you. Even though what they just saw was something that the deeper sages will meditate on and write books about and, you know, and comment on and so on, because it's so profoundly spiritual.
They will lose everything. They'll lose everything just to have that vision, and they're okay with losing it.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. They'll voluntarily give up their jewels and their wives and so on, you know, or give up, let's say, wealth and sex, to be able to really perceive it clearly, to really understand what's going on. Yeah, that's a great point.
What would it be like to go to Nagaloka? And is Nagaloka one particular planet, or is it a whole series of planets?
I don't know the answer to that.
What are the names of the lower planets?
Some of them, I guess, if I can remember them.
I mean, I know Patala. I can't think off the top of my head. But is one Nagaloka? Because there's like a discs. There's 7 planetary
systems.
Yeah, and so
find out.
Okay, Google that up. But I don't think one is Naga. But if it is, that means like there's multiple planets of these snaky people. I wonder if because there's other human species too. There's other human species on other planets within this universe, and then you got to wonder: are they exactly like us, or do they have 4 fingers, or do they have a different shade of skin?
I think that's the Simpsons,
like a maroon skin. Ever wonder like that? Do they have little horns? But you know, like a ram. They really don't think we should think like this. Other humanoid.
We don't need to.
Humanoid.
So I have an answer to your question. No, Nagaloka is not like one of the planetary systems.
Okay, so it's one particular planet.
I'm going down from the Earth level, from Boorloka.
Okay, what's below Boor?
Atalaloka, Vitalaloka, Sutalaloka, Talataloka, Mahatalaloka, Rasatalaloka, and Patalaloka.
Patala is the bottom of the barrel. That's when you say go to hell and you're really angry. That's where you mean go there. And there's a lot of planets within those lokas.
Now, Saragrahi is asking, is Patalaloka and Nagaloka the same? Because Shesha's living there. I think Shesha is actually below Patalaloka, if I understand correctly. It's not actually there on the level of Patalaloka, but he's below it. If I remember correctly. Okay. Right. Anyway, that was the Nagas. Who's
very
next?
Interesting little interesting squirrel. We did the Naga. Now the Manus. Now the Manus are they're humans, but they're the origins of the human species.
Yeah, these are the big time leaders, right? Kind of like universal leaders for extremely long periods of time.
We're just like this planet is just like soil, and we've been seeded. We've been seeded by the Manus and Prajapatis, and they're from higher planets.
And
it's just like a garden bed, isn't it? Earth is just like a garden bed. We didn't grow from this Earth. We're all from outer space, probably all different planets. And mushrooms and octopus are from a completely different planet, for sure. Let's go continue.
Well, let's just 1 second, just a little bit more about the Manus. If I understand correctly, like within the day of Brahma, or the life of Brahma, there are 14 different Manus come and go.
Oh, good. You did a little research on this.
I think that's we known for that's.
I didn't.
But that's
14 different.
Right?
Oh, okay. In this huge chunk of time.
Yeah.
There's 14 Manus who
also huge chunks of time.
Yeah, huge, massive chunks of time. Just like within 100 years, you'll have about 25 presidents of the United States, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. So within say exactly
within the life of Brahma.
Okay, within the life of Brahma, there's 14 Manus.
And I believe there's some level of universal destruction and recreation in each time.
Yeah.
And then you get a Manu who's kind of like they're kind of known as like the lawgivers, right? They play this essential universal role. It's kind of laying down the law. Swayambhuva Manu is an important. I guess that he's for our period. It's Swayambhuva Manu. And in any case, they're just consider them, these Manus as like super high level important dignitaries. Let's see what they say.
Here's what they say.
Let's see what perspective they see this through, what they just witnessed.
Imagine 25 American presidents just show up in front of Stringadave.
And they saw Lord Stringadave.
Roosevelt takes off his hat. As your order carriers, O Lord, we the Manus, because they all spoke with a slight British accent, we the Manus are the lawgivers for human society. But because of the temporary supremacy of this great demon, Hiranyakashipu, our laws for maintaining Varnashram Dharma were destroyed.
Okay.
O Lord, now that you have killed this great demon, we are in our normal condition. Kindly order us, your eternal servants, what to do now. So they're creating the order of the universe.
Yeah. Through their laws,
right,
which had been discarded by Hiranyakashipu. So their perspective is we've got all it's a devotional, it's a servant's prayer here, right? We serve you by establishing these laws. They came around, messed up all the laws. You've reestablished it. We're ready to serve you again. It's not Rasik, it's not like
no.
Right? Rasik meaning understanding the taste, the flavor of love that was happening. They're not expressing anything from that level, but they're expressing it from a dharmic level, from a servant's level.
Now the Prajapatis, these are the people who are the progenitors. I love this concept. The progenitors of species, of the universe, of universal species, all species. Imagine that. Imagine being a Prajapati giving birth to a human, boy, a girl, and then something else, a young chimpanzee, right? An octopi.
It makes more sense than an old chimpanzee giving birth to an old chimpanzee, I suppose.
An elderly chimpanzee lady. But not just that, a mango seed. You're giving birth, and a mango seed comes out of you. That's what they did. They gave birth to according to our philosophy, there are these people that give birth to every species of life. How crazy is that?
But I think we need to think about it. I don't, it's not necessarily that they were born from their bodies.
Good point. It's not like they're laying on their back and the doctor's saying, push out that
giraffe.
Push out that baby giraffe. Hare Krishna.
But like you're saying, plant life, different
Plant life.
species. Somehow they could design it with their minds, apparently. Right? I don't know very much about this. I'm giving a very, it's kind of guesswork on my part, but from what I remember, and somehow they could design all the different species. Like, there's this DNA codes and all of that.
Sure. I believe it. I believe it. Why not?
They could design that code.
Imagine it's like seed day. It's like all these seeds just coming out of you. All the different varieties of mangoes.
Well, I don't even think of it as seeds, though. I'm thinking.
Well, no, some are seeds, right?
Well, I'm not even addressing that. I'm just trying to think of it on the more fine level. Like, I don't. What do I know about DNA and all this kind of stuff? But like, I'd imagine if you look at like your DNA and my DNA,
it's pretty identical.
They're gonna. Is it? They're gonna. That a lot of it would be a lot of it would be the same, just because we're both humans and because we're both male and so on. But then there'd be differences, obviously. And then so then if you took all the humans and looked at their DNA, it's like a computer chip with coding in it, and so much of it has that human coding into, but then it has its individualized coding as well.
Okay.
And then. Again, I don't know anything, so forgive me. And then if you're looking at the DNA of an animal, it's going to, particularly like an animal that's like an ape, let's say, its coding is going to be closer to that of a human than, say, a caterpillar.
Yeah.
And then if you get to a tree, you're still more removed. Right?
To a tree.
But I assume they all have DNA or something that's like. I wish I knew. Maybe someone on our chat board knows more about biology and all that. So any case, but that, we can imagine that these Prajapatis, in their minds, they were like basically doing this computer programming, right?
Sure.
Creating the codes by which different species and different forms of life would manifest.
Whether they created it or not. Like, for example, I didn't have a baby, but imagine if like a lady doesn't create the codes of DNA of having a child. They just do it. They don't even
play their role.
It's their role. Maybe the Prajapatis don't even know what's happening throughout their body. They just do it like a chicken just lays eggs. It's not thinking like time to lay an egg. It's they just lay eggs. Maybe the Prajapatis are just like, okay, now things are getting born out of my mind, out of my third eye, out of my fingertips, out of my.
There's certainly also the idea that they're doing it bodily as well, because like we see the Prajapati Daksha. He was able to create like thousands of sons, and he was very concerned that they would all be Prajapatis also. Sure. It seems to indicate that, like physically, he needed them physically to be able to carry this out. Any case,
now Sarah Grahi on our message board says Patala and Nagaloka are synonymous, and Kastuba is right. Shesha lives on the bottom of Patala.
Okay. So Patala and Nagaloka are synonymous. So lots of snakes down there.
In hell. I believe that. If there is a hell, people, then there's snakes there, there's spiders there, there's slugs, there's cocoons.
All right. Okay. All right. So what are the Prajapatis?
There's definitely ticks.
From their perspective as these progenitors, how did they, what's in their minds right now as they approach Lord Vishnu?
Here's what the Prajapatis say. O Supreme Lord, Lord of even Brahma and Shiva, we, the Prajapatis, were created by you to execute your orders. But we were forbidden by Hiranyakashipu to create any more good progeny.
So good progeny is also part of what they have to do. Right? It's not just like they're pumping out species, but they're also trying to create good beings that will, I suppose, also have their universal responsibilities. Good dharmic kids.
Well, someone's got to create the bad ones too. How do they do?
Well, who creates that's the generally the work of the demons, I suppose.
Oh, Prajapatis of the demons. Interesting. Now the demon is lying dead before us, his chest pierced by you. Let us therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto you, whose incarnation in this form of pure goodness is meant for the welfare of the entire universe.
Okay, let us therefore offer obeisance, whose incarnation in this form of pure goodness, this isn't a material form, this is Sudasattva, is meant for the welfare of the entire universe. One interesting thing is right off the bat, he's kind of helping us understand the categories. You're the Lord of even Brahma and Shiva, right? Like amongst us devas, he could have mentioned so many, but he mentioned those two, indicating that they have a higher status amongst the devas, and that Vishnu is still higher, right? So they're giving us this gradation or this hierarchy in terms of universal status, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in any case, they saw it in terms of, we had a duty to carry out on your behalf. Hiranyakashipu prevented us from carrying it out. Now he's dead, and we're ready to serve again.
Okay. Somebody search for Gandharva Loka. Is that a planet? Is that a whole layer
It's not a
of
planetary
planets?
system.
It's not a planetary system. Somebody, Saragrahi, do some research, do some fact checking where the Gandharva's from. These are the musical singing angels.
Oh, they're next. Okay.
You know what's interesting? It's like, what do they look like? Do they look like humans?
They
Do
must
look
be
like
very
angels. Do they have
beautiful.
wings? Can you touch them? Are they ethereal?
I think their
Think about
bodies
that.
are not like our bodies.
Right. Very interesting. And they're somehow connected with music, of course.
Karuna is telling us that Gandharva is from Gandharva Loka. We know that, Karuna, but the question is, on what planetary system
Yeah, they're part of a bigger system.
is the planet
Is everybody
Gandharva Loka?
singing on those planets? Are they all singing the same things? Are there playlists? Okay. Your Lordship, Your Lordship, we ever engage in your service by dancing and by singing in dramatic performances.
Yeah, so this is like a different mood than everybody else. Everyone else is like really responsible.
These
Like,
guys are
these-
like, it's like the Fame, the TV show, the high
they're
school.
all striking poses.
They're all like performing artists.
Yeah,
Did you ever
totally
watch that
different
show?
mood now, right? And they had just performed, so they're kind of like probably just like all a little sweaty and kind of like
Just performed. Drama students. We ever engage in your service by dancing and singing in dramatic performances, but this Hiranyakashipu, by the influences of his bodily strength and valor, brought us under his subjugation.
Oh man, that must have been miserable.
Now he has been brought to this low condition by your lordship. What benefit can result from the activities of such an upstart as Hiranyakashipu?
I mean, something like, let's say, a communist government takes over, and
I was
like,
thinking
you're a
the same
musician.
thing.
Yeah, it's like now you do music for the state. It's like what?
This whole thing is like communism. I was just thinking it's like South Korea, the communist, Russia, and
North Korea.
Everyone's got like a
I think
huh?
North Korea.
North Korea, yeah, South North Korea, and everyone is feeling like subjugated in those places, like almost helpless.
Is that how you picture it, Raga?
Is that how I what?
Is that how you picture it? Are you sure they're not just living for the people there? It's not.
No, they're not living for the people.
Okay.
Because you know why? Because they haven't worked on themselves. It starts off with a good idea, like let's all live communally, and then the power goes to one person. That person hasn't dealt with how to handle power.
I see what you're saying. So yeah, so the Gandharvas are living this miserable, subjugated life, where they naturally their natural inclination is to sing songs in glorification of Vishnu, right? Maybe occasionally they have to do like an Indra gig or something like that, because but he's a worthy person. But Hiranyakashipu said, now you glorify me. Okay. They just kind of had to swallow that.
Yeah. They couldn't do what they're born to do.
But so they say now he's been brought under this low condition by your lordship. What benefit can result from the activities of such an upstart as Hiranyakashipu? So they're happy.
Yeah. Now the inhabitants of Charana Loka.
Charana. I'm forgetting who the Charanas are.
What do the Charanas do?
Someone help with that.
Look that up. Here's what they said. Oh, yeah. Lord, because you have destroyed the demon Hiranyakashipu, who is always a stake in the hearts of all honest men.
Ooh,
Ow. Even like a stake in your foot would be horrible, but a stake in your heart.
that'll kill you.
We are now relieved, and we eternally take shelter of your lotus feet, which award the conditioned soul liberation from materialistic contamination.
Okay.
All right. What's Mara? What you got for us? Gandharvas are from Gandharva.
Maybe they're known as being very honest. The
Charanas are also singers, Sargrahi says.
All right.
They're the combating singer, like a dueling banjos.
Different kind of performer.
Okay. The inhabitants of Yakshaloka. Now, these are mystical beings.
Yeah, more about Yakshas. I want to understand them better.
Mara, look up Yakshas. The inhabitants of Yakshalokas prayed, O controller of the 24 elements, we are considered the best servants of your lordship because of rendering service pleasing to you. Yet we engaged as palanquin carriers by the order of Hiranyakashipu, the son of Diti.
I have some information on Yakshas.
Okay.
Please.
The Yakshas are a broad class of nature spirits, usually benevolent, but sometimes mischievous, connected with water, fertility, trees, the forest, treasure, and wilderness.
These are like
what do they call them?
elves. They're
Nature what?
nature spirits, forest spirits,
Yeah, nature
water spirits. They're like,
Oh,
you know, when
like
people
that.
worship. Very interesting, huh?
This is from Wikipedia. They appear in Hindu, Jain, and Buddhist texts, as well as ancient and medieval era temples of South Asia and Southeast Asia as guardian deities.
Garden deities. Garden deities. They're like elves, probably. These are what? It's maybe the seven dwarfs.
I don't think they're anything like elves, Raghunath.
No,
They're-
what? Aren't elves like
Nothing would dare
From the
mention anything
forest?
about elves.
Aren't elves like from the forest?
They live in the forest,
I don't
but
know.
so does every other forest creature. I mean,
I know, but an elf is what we would call, you know, what people would call mythological beings. They sound elfish.
I don't know. They're carrying the palanquin of Hiranyakashipu.
Well, they're very strong elves.
It's a low
They would be
riders.
small. it's a low rider palanquin. Maybe they, no,
Okay.
they give it to the bigger elves to carry.
Okay, read this one. Let's hear. Read it all over. Start again.
The inhabitants of Yakshaloka prayed, O controller of the 24 elements. We are considered.
Okay, that's interesting, right?
All right,
'Cause
the
different
elemental
elements
beings.
of the universal elements. That's how
Probably
they
like-
see the world, through this responsibility.
You know, deities of the trees. You know, sometimes they talk of like the Lord of the Forest. You know, stuff like
The
that.
Lorax.
No, not the Lorax. Can I read this, my love? Okay, let's see. Okay. O controller of the 24 elements, we are considered the best servants of your lordship because of rendering services to you. Yet we engaged as palanquin carriers by the order of Hiranyakashipu, the son of Diti, right? O Lord, in the form of Nishringadev, you know how this demon gave trouble to everyone, but now you have killed him. And this body is mixing with the 5 material elements. See, due to these tyrants, these communist tyrants, these Stalins of the universe, you can't do what you're great at. You just got to serve the
Kills
state, so to
that
speak.
independent
Artistic
initiative.
urge.
Yeah.
Right.
But okay, let me ask you some. Reading this entire text, what do you make of the Yakshas?
I think they're forest like dwelling spirits.
Well,
No,
that
it-
we know. We got that from Wikipedia.
All right, okay. What do we make of them?
Well,
Beyond
this
that?
prayer. What do you see about their consciousness as expressed through this prayer?
Oh. Yeah. I don't know. What do you
Well,
say?
the first thing, this is interesting. They're standing before Lord Vishnu and they say this: "We are considered the best servants of your lordship because of rendering services pleasing to you." I think that is, it's an expression of the devotee that's not fully evolved, right? What do
Why?
you think?
Because they're
Well,
calling themselves the
everybody
best?
considers us the best, really.
What about- maybe
You're
they are
standing
the
in front of
best, and they're just
Prahlad
being
right now,
frank.
right? Prahlad is like on a whole nother
right,
level
yeah,
than you.
Yeah.
The Lord just appeared solely for the sake of him, not for you so much. I mean, he did for you, but the primary reason that that Vishnu just appeared as Nrsimhadev wasn't for the benefit of the Yakshas. The primary reason, that was a secondary reason,
Yeah.
Primary reason was out of his love for Prahlad.
Yep.
And they stand up there and say, we're considered to be the best of your servants. It's like, to me,
We're the fairies and the elves, and we're the best.
and I think that's common.
They're a little arrogant. They're a little
It's-
arrogant, you're saying.
Well, I just think it's common on a lower level of bhakti to think that way. But as you elevate your bhakti, you think, I'm the lowest of your servants.
They were probably leprechauns, too. This is probably what the Celts talk about, leprechauns. The Gaelic.
Okay, any case, they got relegated to the level of carrying the palanquin. That was humiliating.
Of
for
the
them,
demon. That's
right?
humiliating. I mean, if you're not into that. I mean, they were probably Yes. Let's go
And it was
on.
probably the biggest leaders amongst them, right? How many people do you need to carry a palanquin? Not that many, but it's probably like, we're taking the top yakshas. You're carrying my
biggest
palanquin.
ones, yeah.
Yeah.
The inhabitants of
Kimpurusa.
Kimpurusa Loka
We
said.
need Mara Kimpurushas.
Kimpurusas. Oh, she's on this.
This refers to a territory of a tribe called Kimpurushas.
What?
Surfers.
The surfers.
No. A territory of a tribe called Kimpurushas. But they say they lived in inaccessible regions like the Himalaya mountains, and they were described to be lion-headed beings.
Ooh.
Whoa. Oh, they should be able to relate.
They should be relate. Thank God you're here. You're our hero. Lion-headed beings.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, Kim means what? Kimpurusha means what kind of person is this? Yeah, Kimpurusha.
Oh, control the. Yeah. We are insignificant living entities. Well, that's a nice way to enter. That's a nice entrance. We are.
That's a very different mood
Right,
than
that's a different mood.
Yakshas.
You're very evolved lion beings. And you are the supreme personality of Godhead, the supreme controller. Therefore, how can we offer suitable prayers unto you? When this demon was condemned by devotees because they were disgusted with him, he was then killed by you. Okay, we're gonna have
very
to
humble prayer.
sadly
What-
wrap this
what
up.
can we
Mr.
say?
Day.
What can we say?
Well, he's
We're
very
standing
humble.
before Lord Brahma. We're standing before Lord Shiva. We're standing before
before
Prahlad.
Prahlad.
What do we have to say? Interesting. These lying
Kimpurushas,
people of the Himalayas.
the Yetis.
Okay, we got 3 more verses, Raghunath.
Well, it's already 59, Bubba.
Yeah, let's wrap them up.
Really? You want to save this?
You want to save it for tomorrow?
Yeah,
Go
we
through-
got Kinaras
All
coming
right,
up.
all right.
Bird
Okay.
people. Okay.
All right.
You love the bird
I
people.
love bird people. Kidding? Especially the non-meat eating birds. The
Songbirds.
songbirds.
Seed-eating birds.
Seed eaters.
Mhm. All right.
Good name for a band. Seed eater.
You ready for some takeaways?
Yep.
Wake up and meditate on those people who gave us the option to upgrade.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, a little long, but I like it.
What practices release us from our conditioning?
Yeah. Are there any ones who can do it?
Yep, there are.
Experiment with our perception.
Experiment with your mind.
Regulative principles are for cleaning the consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Truth
Clean it up.
perception.
Clean it up.
Carefully choose and maintain the files you download to the mind.
Clean up the computer, right? Go through
Yeah.
it every now and then.
What do you call that? McAfee
Virus.
virus.
also have that thing-
anti-virus software for the mind.
What is that thing where
Corrupt
I forget,
file.
I
Error.
forget what it's
Error
called,
11.
but it kind of like you hit the button and it kind of reestablishes all your files so that they make more sense. You know that thing? Like it
I've
shows some
never
kind
done
of.
I've never done it. I have just corrupt files.
Defragmentation. Yeah, defragment the hard drive.
Defragment the
Defrag.
hard drive. Thank you, Achyuta.
Oh,
Defrag.
Defrag. Everybody knows that except
Or
me.
defrag.
With defrag, you know, it's like
We'll be playing with we'll be opening for the Cro-Mags.
defrag the Chromax live. Billy.
the Manus seated us in the garden of Bhumidev.
The
right.
Manus seated us in the garden of Bhumidev. Yes.
Imagine if this became your next birth, Raghunath. If you became a Prajapati and you were
I want
like
to be
coding with your brain, you were
I just want to be a
coding future
fairy. Let me
species.
be a little fairy. Fairy of the forest.
All right.
Me and Karuna just flying around.
Nishringadev is pure goodness meant for the welfare of the universe.
And then Hiranyakashipu comes, and like me and Karuna have to carry him around, and our palanquins. It's horrible.
The fairies and the elves are a little arrogant.
What's that?
The fairies and the elves are a little arrogant.
A little arrogant.
Me and Karuna a little bit
We're
arrogant.
the best,
right,
devotees.
Karuna? We're the best.
Beware the malware of the mind.
The malware of the mind. Ooh,
That's a good one.
that's a good one.
And
There's not more than that. I thought there'd be a million.
there's a lot of snakes in hell.
There are a lot of snakes in hell. Thank you. Stay away from the snakes and the ticks and the slugs.
Snakes on the plane, Raghunath.
You don't got a slug problem. You got a duck problem. You got a duck solution. That's what they say. You don't have a slug problem. You just got a lack of ducks. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Then you got a mongoose problem.
Yeah. Imagine sending a mongoose to the snake planet. They're like, "Ah!" The mongoose avatar comes. Thanks everybody for joining us. Another day of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The way to start the day, hearing the Bhagavatam on a regular basis, recalibrates the brain, the intelligence. You know what you could do? You could do this in the evening too. We're going to get back into some Sweet Baby Krishnas. You know why?
Good.
I miss Sweet Baby Krishna. I'm doing it for me, not for you. I'm selfish. I need a little more Sweet Baby in my life. Thanks everybody for joining us. Hey, come hang with me, Mara, Kastuba, and friends. Linda's going to be there. Henry's going to be there. I think Braj Vihari's going to be there at Super Soul Farm during the Wisdom of the Sages retreat. That's
There's only one spot left.
There's one spot left. I want to see you fight for it. No, we'd love to see you guys come up there.
Are there still
Also-
spots for Italy?
We got a couple spots for Italy, but we're going to close that soon. So if you've been sitting on that fence, on that picket fence, jump off and come join us. It's going to be lovely. I took Mara out to an Italian restaurant yesterday for Mother's Day because she's been such a great motherly influence on my family. Thank you, Mara.